Hey YouTube! Today is a very special day. 10 years ago today, I brought this girl home. I was paying for her, showing up at the bus barn with the keys and the title, and drove her home. So back then she was a 7.3 IDI. For those of y'all that have seen my old videos, with a 545 automatic. That 545 is now in the Bluebird. So what had happened was the rear motor mounts, as you guys know from previous videos, had been loose, and that was the very first time that the 545 started having problems. The flex plate had cracked, and the front pump seal had oh no, the flex plate hadn't cracked, I'm sorry, but the front pump seal had gone because the nose broke off the converter. So I bought a new converter for it, had the pump resealed on the transmission, and then you guys kind of know the rest, where the transmission blew out, you know, from the flex plate shattering and all that mess. So it's been a long haul. She was originally owned by the Tomball Independent School District, Tomball, Texas. I believe the original bus number was bus 59 and not 387401. That was renumbered to that in sometime shortly before I started there in 2000. I think they'd renumbered them in 98 or 99. Yeah, so I had some of my best routes in this bus. I actually drove this bus at Tomball for 5 years before I bought it, and I fell in love with it. It was everything that I didn't want. I was a big DT466 fan and a Bluebird body fan, kind of like that girl right there. I did like the air brakes and the Bud hubs, obviously. And don't get me wrong, I love my Dayton spokes on my Bluebird. I've had a lot of people ask me, are you going to change those over? No. The only thing I would do to the Bluebird differently is I would make it air brakes. But, you know, I love my Bluebird too. It's an awesome bus. But we're not talking about the Bluebird today. We're talking about the Thomas. So I drove it, and the story behind the Thomas was that I was driving an 02 HDX. In fact, with the wind picking up, let's go inside the Thomas, and we'll continue the story there. Alright, so we're in the Thomas now. So, continuing the story, I was driving an 02 HDX. I had a really cool route at the time, and I was coming up to a four-way stop, or a three-way stop at 40 miles an hour with a group of junior high students. On my route, and it had ABS air brakes, and the ABS computer decided to go out, and when it went out, it blocked all of the air from going to the brakes. So in a frantic gesture, I was about to pop the parking brake to stop, but at the last minute the brake pedal started working. So I got to the junior high, because it was right there, unloaded my students, radioed in, and they brought me, they did not bring me this bus. This was a sub at the time, but they brought me one of our 86s, which was almost exactly identical to how this bus was. And I really liked this bus, and so I switched out for this, and I ended up keeping it for the rest of the year. The HDX had an MD3060, so it was push button, and I definitely had missed my Quadco shifter and the manual door control. It was a nice running bus, but I mean, I had something going for the old buses, so that's kind of the backstory on this. I drove it, I went off to college, and I kept on driving this as a sub bus when I would come back and visit on the Fridays. I was a call-in sub. So, and I still have, on the keys, I still have the tag with the bus number on it still. I have all of that, so I've kind of kept it, you know, other than pretty much swapping out the entire drive line. The bus is pretty much the same, other than I've, you know, done my modifications to it, and I've made it a really fun bus. For those of y'all that, you know, have seen, I've had some really famous people on the bus. Some of these autographs up here are Texas country artists. We have our own genre of country music here in Texas, and so it kind of sticks with the roots. It hasn't gone pop like the new country music has, or Nashville country. So I got some famous names. We've had some good times. We've had little get-togethers and parties, and this thing has been through it all. It was even at my wedding with my wife. It wasn't in the wedding, but it was pretty much a big thing there. If you remember in the video where Matt's 4290 got to drive the Bluebird, he made mention of pulling into the driveway at the ranch, right on the other side of that trailer, sorry. And that was because at the wedding, he drove the bus home for me. So, it was pretty cool. So, and the only thing now, I'm sure the glow plug light still works, but I don't have glow plugs, nor do I have a way to illuminate it, but I will do a cold start. It's a dark and dreary day, obviously, and we just had our first ridiculous cold front come through. We were trying to stay in, you know, kind of spring, summertime, early summer temps of the 80s, and we're down to the 50s and 30s, so it's like in the low 50s right now. So let's give her a crank. Neutral. Yes, okay. And that's pushed in. Here we go. Everything still works good. My buzzers still work. She's a little cranky, but we'll high idle her just a little bit. And yeah, so that's kind of the backstory on the Thomas. I haven't really made mention of that in my videos, so here's to many more years. Hopefully this thing stays with me for life. My wife has already told me that it's, you know, if I ever got rid of this thing, I'd be insane, because it's a part of me, very much a part of me. In fact, I'm ashamed to say that I picked her up for one of our dates. We went out to the club to karaoke, but I picked her up in this thing. It was kind of fun. She got a kick out of it. So, and that was, we weren't even dating at the time. We just were hanging out, but she considers it kind of something like that. But anyway, yeah, so that's it, guys. Thanks for watching as always, and continue to subscribe and watch for more fun stuff.